Thank you very much for being a part of today's class. I really appreciate each and every one of you that has taken out time to be part of today's class. Today, we'll be looking at how to register a legal mortgage to raise capital to finance a government and international NGO contract in Nigeria. Before we proceed, I would want us to have a clear understanding of the concept of legal mortgage in Nigeria. And before we proceed with that, I would like us to look at the parties involved and also for us to define the term legal mortgage so that we can have a good understanding before we get into other things that relates to legal mortgage in this class. The parties involved in legal mortgage are the mortgagor, who is the borrower, and also the mortgagee, who is the lender or the mortgage financer. So, if you want to define a legal mortgage, it is simple. This is a situation whereby the mortgagor, who is the borrower, transfers all his proprietary rights, grants over all the interest he has in a property or asset to the mortgagee, who is the lender, in order to secure a loan or a debt. So, for instance, if you have an international NGO contract or a government NDA contract, and you need a loan, you need finance in order to complete it, and you have an asset or a property, all you just need to do is to approach a mortgage financier so that the mortgage financier will grant you a loan while you transfer your proprietary interest, your legal right in the property to the mortgagee. That is what a legal mortgage is all about. Okay? Now that we have looked at what a legal mortgage is, let's look at the categories of legal mortgage in Nigeria. The very first is what is known as a residential mortgage. This is a situation whereby a mortgage financier provides loan to individuals and also families for them to be able to purchase a residential building for them to live in. The legal right will still be with the mortgagee pending the time that individual completes the payment of the mortgage debt. The same is applicable to commercial or industrial mortgage. In this situation, the mortgage financier grants to the business or the commercial entity. They give them loan in order for them to purchase commercial or industrial properties, such as warehouses and office spaces, for them to be able to carry on their commercial or industrial business. Then the next on the list is agricultural mortgage. This is a situation whereby a mortgage financier provides equity to farmers and agricultural businesses to purchase or develop agricultural properties. And they use these properties for farming and also for a ranch. Just like a residential and commercial, the legal right still subsists with the mortgagee pending when the mortgage debt and interest is fully paid. And there is also this unique mortgage that is referred to as reverse mortgage. This is granted to senior citizens, people who have retired from service. And in this situation, what the mortgage financier is, they provide them with income, with financing in order for them to take care of their immediate need while using the property they are living in as a collateral. So in this situation, what happens is that it is until the senior citizen dies or leaves the property, that's when the mortgagee, the mortgage financier will now foreclose the building in order for them to recover the mortgage debt that the senior citizen must have accrued over time. Okay, now let's look at the type of mortgage financing that is available in Nigeria. The very first type of mortgage financing that is available in Nigeria is what is called a fixed rate mortgage. In this situation, the interest rate remains the same for the term of the loan. Throughout the duration of the legal mortgage, the interest rate is fixed. That is the understanding of both parties. And also there is also what is known as the adjustable rate mortgage, which is also a type of mortgage financing here. The interest rates can change over time based on market conditions. The process is started with a fixed interest rate, but if in the process of the transaction the market condition is affected by, for example, inflation and some other factors, then definitely both parties would have to renegotiate in order to include the factors into consideration so that both parties will have a clear understanding so that nobody will run into a loss in their loan. Then there is also the government-backed mortgage. Here, what the government does is that they provide loans to civil servants, for instance, for them to make purchases, for them to purchase their homes. So, and the interest rate here is always relatively low. And also there is a conventional mortgage, and this mortgage is not backed by government. It can be fixed or it can be adjustable. It depends on the condition that has been reached by the mortgagee, the borrower, and also the mortgagee, the lender. Okay, let's now look at the requirements. What are those things that has to be present in order for a mortgage agreement to scale through? The very first thing is that it must be a valid contract. There must be a valid contract between the borrower and the lender. A valid contract simply means that all the elements of a contract must be present. And the elements of a contract that is that there must be an offer from one of the parties. Then one of the other party must accept the offer that has been made. And also there must be a consideration flowing from one party to the other. And then also at all times they must have the intention to create a binding legal relation. And also they must have the capacity to enter into a valid contract. Then another thing is the property ownership. The borrower must be the legal owner of the property at all times. There must not be any ambiguity whatsoever. That responsibility lies with the lender to make sure that proper investigation is carried out to ascertain the fact that the property actually belongs to the borrower so that the contract will not be void ab initio. Then the next thing is there must be a proper property valuation, and that has to be done by a professional valuer so that the lender will know the exact value of the property, so as to also know the amount of money that can be extended to the borrower in terms of loan. Very important is the consent of a spouse if the property is jointly owned. If it's jointly owned and the borrower goes ahead to execute the contract without the consent of the spouse, then it is void from the beginning ab initio and the agreement will have no effect whatsoever. And after all these other considerations have been put in place and then the mortgage deed has been signed, the next thing is to take it for stamping, to make it legally binding. And after it has been stamped, it has to be taken to the land registry for registration. Very important, very key. And also, an insurance cover must be put in place to protect the borrower and also the lender in case of any loss during the pendency of the legal agreement in terms of a legal mortgage. Okay, now let's look at the steps involved in registering a legal mortgage to finance a government MDA or an international NGO contract in Nigeria. The very first thing that you have to do is to select a mortgage financier of your choice. And to achieve that fit, there are some things that you have to put into consideration. The very first of them is the interest rate. It varies. So you have to make your analysis in order to look out for those that suits your interest. And also the loan tenure will have to be put into consideration because different financiers have different loan tenures. Then the next thing is the fees and the charges of the financier, very important, and also the repayment flexibility, very important too. You have to look at how flexible it is for you to be able to make payment for the interest and also the mortgage sum, the loan sum. The customer service and also the reputation of the financier is very key, very important. You have to look at those that have dealt with the financier for them to testify, how the service was rendered. Then the next thing is the property appraisal and valuation. It has to be done by an estate surveyor, and the valuer must inspect the property, make market analysis to know exactly how much the property is worth within the area, and also if it's for a rental property, then the rent has to be ascertained, and after that he will now prepare his report. And then once that is done, you now visit the mortgage financier physically, and also once you are there, you complete the form, attach the supporting documents, which is the property title and also the mortgage deed, and also once you have done that, you submit, and then they will now look at all the supporting documents that you have submitted. And mind you, the property valuation will have to be included. Once they process it and they are satisfied that you have succeeded, then approval will be given, and then after that the loan will be disbursed to you. And then the next thing is to make sure that the mortgage deed is registered in the land registry, the registration of the mortgage with the land registry. And when you are going to the land registry, what you have to go along with you is the property title and also the mortgage deed. Once that is with you, then you will now have to pay the applicable fee, because it's different from state to state. Different states have their own fees. And then you now, once you've made your payment, you have paid your stamp duties, then you have to now submit the mortgage deed for verification. Once they have verified it and they have found that everything you have succeeded is okay, then the next thing is for them to go ahead, register the mortgage, and then issue you a certificate of registration. Okay, now let's look at some of the challenges that is involved in registering a legal mortgage in Nigeria. The very first is inefficiency of land registry system, and this inefficiency, it causes lots of delay in processing and registering documents, which might lead to a loss to the borrower. And also poor record keeping is what characterizes most land registry, and it leads to missing and inaccurate documents and information. And also fraudulent practices is the norm. Forgery, impersonation, falsification of documents, they are very common. It's some of the things that has to be tackled in order for mortgage transaction for us to get it right with mortgage transaction in Nigeria. And also the high cost of registration should also be looked into, so that people can be able to afford to register their mortgage and also derive the benefit that is associated with it. And then inadequate legal framework, very important. It has to be taken care of, so that there won't be any ambiguity or uncertainty with regards to the process of registering a legal mortgage in Nigeria. And also, if there is a challenge, there must always be a solution. What are the solutions? It's just improving the land registry system, and this is by investing in technology and training the staff of the registry, so that they can be up to date with the technology that is involved in land registry. And also strengthening anti-fraud measures. We have to use biometric technology to secure data that are in possession of the land registry, and also the land registry have to increase the scrutiny of documents submitted to them, so that they will be registering original documents. And more stringent penalties will have to be meted out to any offender that submits any fake document, so that it will be to serve as a lesson to other fraudulent persons. and also the reduction and interest rate, and this is what the government will have to look into. It can be solved through government policies and intervention. And also the strengthening of the legal framework of Nigeria with regards to legal mortgage is very key and important, so that a clear guideline and rules for the creation of a legal mortgage in Nigeria must be put in place. And also increase awareness to the public, so that they will know that there are lots of benefits associated with mortgage if you can be able to find the right one that suits your purpose. Thank you very much for staying with me to the end of this class. I really appreciate you. We have done justice to mortgage, and we have looked at what it takes to create a legal mortgage. We have looked at the categories and the types, and we have also looked at the requirements, what you have to put in place for you to register a mortgage. We have also looked at the challenges as well as the solution. I really appreciate each and every one of you for staying to the end. And we in EB Nigeria, being a business support service brand, we will facilitate the registration of your legal mortgage in Nigeria if that is your wish. We have done it for others, and if it interests you, we can also do it for you. Thank you very much, and God bless you. See you next week. Bye.